She sat on the cold sidewalk, hands trembling as she struggled to understand the world around her. The old woman couldn't hear the insults, but she could feel the cruelty. The teenagers laughed, recording every tear running down her wrinkled cheeks. Passers-by glanced, then looked away. No one stepped forward. No one until the deep rumble of motorcycle engines rolled into the street, and everything changed. Evelyn Parker was 76 years old, and she had been deaf since she was 17. Life had never been simple for her, but she had always carried herself with dignity, grace, and a quiet hope that kindness still existed in the world. Every morning, she visited the tiny old diner on Maple Street. She didn't go for the food, she went because it was the last place that reminded her of her late husband, Thomas. For years, they had sat in the same booth, by the window. They'd share pancakes, talk with their hands, laugh without sound but with full hearts. Now, the booth was empty except for her. On this particular evening, Evelyn walked out of the diner after a simple meal of soup and toast. She stepped into the cool air, adjusting her thin coat. Her hands shook slightly as she reached for her cane. That's when 3 teenage boys approached her, phones already recording. They didn't care that she was someone's grandmother. Someone's friend. Someone who had lived through hardship and loss. To them, she was just content. One boy waved his hands mockingly in front of her face, pretending to sign gibberish. Another pointed and laughed. A third got inches from her, shouting words she couldn't hear, but she felt the vibration of his anger, his cruelty, and it made her chest tighten. Evelyn tried to speak, but it came out as a soft, broken whisper. They laughed harder. One boy pushed her shoulder lightly, not hard enough to knock her down, but enough to make her stumble. Enough to make her feel small. Her eyes filled with tears she didn't want them to see. She backed up, sitting slowly on the curb, overwhelmed. She couldn't hear their insults, but she could see their smirks, the way their mouths twisted, the way their cameras shook with laughter. She signed shakily, "Stop, please stop." But they didn't. Instead, one lifted the camera closer to her face, zooming in on her tears for a crueler, more viral shot. Cars passed by. People passed by. No one intervened, and Evelyn, tired, grieving, deaf, alone, lowered her face into her hands and cried silently. Then the boys suddenly paused. A low, thunderous growl rose from the end of the street. Not one engine, not 2, but a dozen. The teens turned, annoyed at first, then froze. Large, chrome motorcycles rolled toward the diner, their headlights cutting through the dusk. Leather jackets, steel boots, tattoos, and determined faces filled the street. The local biker group, known as the Iron Guardians, had arrived, and they were not smiling. At the front of the pack rode Jack Bear Dalton, a massive man with a silver beard and a scar across his left eyebrow. He knew Evelyn. Everyone in the neighborhood did. She had once baked cookies for the whole biker crew after they repaired the diner's front door during a winter storm. She was family. As soon as Bear's eyes landed on the old woman, shaking, crying, surrounded by boys with phones, his hands clenched around the handlebars, the engines cut off. Silence, heavy and dangerous, fell over the street. Bear swung a leg off his bike and took 3 slow steps forward. The other bikers followed, forming a wall behind him. The boys shrank. Bear's voice dropped like thunder. "Put the phones down." One boy gulped. We were just put them down." The phones hit the pavement instantly. Another biker, a tall woman with braided hair named Rita, rushed to Evelyn. Kneeling beside her, she placed a gentle hand on the old woman's back. Evelyn looked up, eyes full of fear until she recognized Rita's face. Then she exhaled, trembling with relief. Rita signed slowly, "Clearly you're safe." "We're here now." Evelyn nodded, tears streaming again, but these tears were different. Tears of being seen. Protected. Meanwhile, Bear stepped closer to the teens. "Why are you picking on someone who can't even hear you?" he growled. The teens stammered excuses. "We didn't mean, it was just a joke. We weren't gonna." Bear held up a massive hand at a joke. He repeated, "You made an elderly woman cry on the sidewalk. You think that's funny?" The boys couldn't look him in the eyes. The bikers didn't touch them. Didn't threaten them physically, but the presence alone, the raw disappointment, the moral weight, was enough to make the boys shake. Then Bear said something they didn't expect. "You're coming with us." All 3 froze. "What? Why?" "You're going to apologize. Properly. And then you're going to learn something." The teens followed, heads down, as Bear walked them back to Evelyn. Rita helped Evelyn stand, supporting her gently. The boys shuffled forward. One finally whispered, We're sorry." Rita tapped Evelyn's shoulder, signing the apology, but Evelyn did something that stunned everyone, even the bikers. She stepped closer and placed a trembling hand on the boy's cheek. Her eyes were soft, full of a lifetime of pain and forgiveness. She signed slowly, hoping they'd feel the meaning even if they didn't understand the words. Hurt people, hurt others. Be better. Don't repeat today. The boys swallowed hard. Something cracked inside them, guilt turning into understanding. Bear nodded. We're taking you inside the diner, he said. You boys are gonna buy her dinner. You're gonna sit with her. And you're gonna eat quietly and respectfully. Learn what kindness looks like. It wasn't punishment, it was transformation. Inside the diner, Evelyn sat in her old booth. This time, she wasn't alone. The bikers filled the tables around her. The teens sat across from her. Awkward but sincere. Rita taught them basic sign language. Sorry, thank you, nice to meet you, and Evelyn smiled, truly smiled, for the first time that evening. Passers-by who witnessed it would later say it was one of the most beautiful nights Maple Street had ever seen. Kindness healing cruelty, community. Overpowering silence, strength protecting the fragile. And when Evelyn left the diner, escorted by a dozen motorcycles rumbling like loyal guardians, she didn't feel small anymore. She felt safe, she felt loved, she felt heard even in her silent world.